I went from literally nobody at all.
Two guys, one bench.
Shit talking, strict sports, combat sports. Game over.
Konnichiwa, motherfuckers. Welcome to Two Guys, One Bench.
Where we talk a lot of shit.
And we drop some truth bombs on your bitch asses.
Before anything else, make sure to like, share, subscribe to the channel, and drop us a comment down low.
All right, everybody, we just got off an amazing interview with Shinigami. That means the god of death in Japanese. And he is a street fighter that fights in Streetbeefs, an exciting promotion that's really famous on YouTube. Lots of crazy ass fights. Everybody's got their own crazy name. Dorrell?
Yeah, if you don't know who he is, type in Shinigami versus Detail. That's all you need to really know. The man went viral with that. His first fight in Streetbeefs. He's knocking people the fuck out. And he's got a fight coming up next weekend against the Nasty Native. And no, I'm not just being an asshole and racist. That's actually his name.
Definitely. I mean, he's an awesome dude. And yeah, that clip went viral from a year ago. I mean, it's amazing. Watch it here. What's up, everybody? We're here with Shinigami, Streetbeefs heavyweight champion of the West Coast. He's one bad motherfucker. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Just taking a day off from training between, my daily schedule of training for my next couple of fights I got coming up here.
Yeah, man, we're pretty excited to get a hold of you. I mean, I've been a huge fan since I saw you roughly last year. Was that roughly a year ago where you knocked out Buddy with that kind of switch left high kick?
Yeah, that was August, I believe, 16th last year.
Perfect. Yeah.
A wild year.
Yeah. I mean, that thing went viral big time. I was going to ask you, what is it like to just have something like that just blow up?
It's really weird. I'm still getting used to it. I went from literally nobody at all outside of my little tiny middle of nowhere community, knowing who I was, to now I get recognized. I was actually at a Korean barbecue place in Koreatown yesterday after going to Costa Mesa to train with some other guys from Streetbeefs. And I had my mask on and everything because I hadn't started eating yet. I was in the bathroom washing my hands, and these guys were complaining about the heat. And I was like, man, this is nothing down here. You should be up in Lancaster. And one of them looks at me and goes, "You're from Lancaster? What are you doing down here?" I was like, "I was just doing some amateur." He's like, "Wait a minute. I think you might be my hero. Are you the Shinigami guy from Streetbeefs?" Really? Yeah, that's how it goes. Like I just say it's crazy. I get recognized everywhere now. In fact, it's a game I play to see how long I can get through a day when I'm out doing stuff before someone recognizes me. And it's still like, I don't quite feel like I've beaten anybody good enough to get that kind of recognition from yet, but it is what it is.
Hell yeah, man. So you were wearing a mask. Were you wearing your gi at the time in the Korean barbecue though?
No, I was just wearing a Street Fighter t-shirt.
Okay. I was just wondering, man, because every time I see you, you're in that thing, and I'm really happy that you put it on for the interview.
Yeah, it's kind of the headband and the gi is kind of my brand, so I wear it for interviews and I wear it when I fight in Streetbeefs. So I was like, yeah.
Do you think maybe people underestimate you because of wearing the gi going into the Streetbeefs?
I don't think they do anymore, but I think they definitely did that day. That's for sure. That day was a very interesting lesson about how quick people will change their opinion and how fast they will judge you. Because when I fought Detail, I actually fought twice that day. I fought Storm Rider too. I fought Detail, and I didn't really hear it because I wasn't paying attention to the crowd. I was focused on the fact that I got a guy in front of me. It's the first time I'm doing full contact. This is going to be up in front of who knows how many people are going to see it on YouTube. Just worry about the guy in front of you. And then when I watched the video, you can hear all the hecklers, did a Duke in, get him Ryu, da da da. And as soon as I hit him, ooh, right? So like an hour and a half later, I'm fighting Storm Rider, and everybody, yeah, Shinigami, get him.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. So
it was hating at first until you fucking sent that guy into the Shinigami dimension.
Yeah, the Shinigami realm. Yep. I think part of it was because the only other guy that ever really came in with a traditional martial arts outfit into any Street Beefs branch was Rising Phoenix, and he's like 0-4,
Yeah.
I think. But I mean, that guy actually ended up finding out that his kung fu instructor was a liar who had just watched some DVDs and was charging people money to teach him. Basically, a McDojo guy.
Some McDojo shit going on there.
Yeah. Well, he's actually taking Muay Thai and Jiu-Jitsu classes now, so I'd like to see him come back to the yard with a few more months of training and see how he does.
Nice. So yeah, speaking of which, in our questions we had, you talk about traditional martial arts, and I have a background in that as well. I lived in Japan for 11 years. I say that every fucking podcast, but I'm really proud of that, what I've done there, and it's just kind of who I am. Like, I'm basically 1/3 Japanese almost. The time of my life I spent there, but just learning, the Kyokushin style karate, and then judo, and wearing that gi day in day out. There's something to it that I think boxers, or even I would even say Muay Thai people don't really get. Like, Muay Thai is kind of, everybody just wants to wear those little tight shorts and look cool, but there's no like
looking shorts. Like, no disrespect to Muay Thai, but those shorts are a little weird looking. They look kind of small.
Some short shorts. So I just want to know, like, when did you get into traditional martial arts? How did that start for you?
I just, for a while I got picked on, and then I kind of in 11th grade just grew up. I had a big growth spurt, and all of a sudden I was over 6 feet tall and kind of stocky. So people stopped bullying me. But then I went to culinary school, and there's this one jackass kept messing with me. And I got in a fight with him, and I didn't get my ass kicked, but I wasn't doing very good. I realized I need to learn something. I always wanted to learn some kind of martial art. I just never really had the opportunity to do it per se. So what ended up happening was there was a kung fu place between the train station I take from my uncle's apartment when I was finishing culinary school and living there in Hollywood on Vermont, and I would stop by and watch them all the time. And the Shifu invited me in to do some trial lessons. So I took him, and he was like, "Okay, so you get 2 free trial lessons." And I was just wondering, after my second lesson, he was like, "I was wondering if you're gonna sign up." I was like, "I would like to, but I'm moving in 2 weeks," because I wasn't gonna lie. So he's like, "Well, go ahead and train here the rest of the time for free, and then wherever you go, I hope you find a place to train, because you train really well. Like, you pick everything up, and you try really hard." So I came back out to Palmdale, and it was about a year and a half before I actually found a place I wanted to train at, because everything was like really expensive. And then I found a spot in my little hometown. It was kind of low key, using the multi-purpose room in the school out here, and it was just American Kempo combined with Shotokan, and I started doing that and fell in love with it, and that's what I kind of stuck with for a while. And then I wanted to learn jiu-jitsu for MMA purposes, so I've been doing that too.
What do you think where do you think the inspiration came to try out Street Beefs? Like, was it just something you'd seen and you're like, you know what, I might as well try it? Were other people trying to get you into it? How exactly did you come across it?
I came across Street Beefs when like about 10 years ago, when I was living in my apartment with Rachel in Lancaster proper, before we couldn't afford to stay there anymore because they kept raising the rent. And I would watch, in fact, it actually came up because as a martial artist, especially from like a Kempo background where that's mainly focused on self-defense, like real street combat, no rules stuff. So I would always watch street fight videos, look up stuff from other martial arts styles, just to see what would be out there, just so I'd have because that's one of the things, right? A lot of instructors will tell you, just don't start fights because you know what somebody else knows or how much they know, right? So I was always kind of like, well, yeah, but things happen, so I might as well, find out what other training looks like and what other styles look like, so that just in case I end up in like a bar fight or something, and I just get the lucky lottery number of the guy actually knows something, who's decided to start something with me, I could recognize it. And then because of that, the algorithm pulled Street Beefs in, and I started watching it. And then a couple of years ago, I saw Striking Viking, and was like, this dude is a monster with that right hand. I think I could beat him though. I think I can counter that right hand. I like to fight him. And then I found out they were all the way in Virginia, so I was like, yeah, I don't see that happening at all. But I joined the Facebook group and was kind of keeping up with stuff. And then they announced they were coming to the West Coast, so I tried to get in on that, but that whole week before that event went bad. My car got stolen. Some other stuff happened. Couldn't make it. Then I found out they were actually allowing some of the guys that had fought there to start a branch on the West Coast so that people wouldn't have to travel all the way to the East Coast, or all the way up to Washington, because I guess they'd started around the same time as, well, no, because I think I was a month before they started the Streetbeefs branch, the West Coast branch. But basically, they were starting more branches so that people, because not everyone could make it to Virginia all the time. And that's why the branches have different champs too, because, you know, if you can make it to the branch and you're close enough to the branch, then you can kind of qualify for being a champion, because, you know, you have to defend every so often, and not everyone can afford to travel that much, especially not all the way to the other side of the country. So that's how I got into it, and that's how I ended up on Streetbeefs West Coast. But the best part of that was I actually got into the first event on the last second, because there was a little confusion with the group posts that I was seeing, because Facebook's algorithm is kind of dumb. And even if you set it to all notifications, it doesn't give them to you all in order. So it doesn't actually give you all of them. So what happened was that it was supposed to happen out here. Then it was supposed to happen in Vegas. Then it got canceled. Then it was supposed to be in Vegas again. And then I guess the last minute it got moved to San Bernardino. I didn't know that. I actually messaged Tiny Tank and asked him when the next one's going to be in California, because I really wanted to try to fight full contact. So he was like, "Oh, it's today, bro." I was like, I thought, you know, I had a little brief conversation with him about how I didn't see all the group posts and everything. So I was like, I'm like an hour and a half away from where you're at. Please let me in. I will leave right now, and I'll be there about the time you guys start doing the actual fight start. And so he talked to Bushido Zed about it, and turned out a couple of people had no-showed. So he was like, "Yeah, just hurry up and come down here, bro." And the rest is kind of history.
Nice. And was that day where you dropped that epic kick, eh?
Yep, right. In fact, I was waiting around like a couple of hours waiting to get matched up, and then they stuck me with detail, and I didn't know who I was fighting or what they were going to know, so I just went and did something I've done hundreds and hundreds of times at sport karate and like sport MMA tournaments, where it's just points.
Yeah.
So you
power on it.
You talked about being the West Coast champ. With having all the different branches and different champions, is there potential to like unify belts at one point?
No, for the same reason that they have different branches with different champions for different branches, because it's just, I already went and fought the East Coast super heavyweight champion earlier this year, and that was just like a champ versus champ fight, but there was no belt on the line. Like, he was gonna do it as a unification title, but then he, remembered the same reason why he has multiple branches was the same reason he decided not to do that. So it's just, yeah, because that's a lot of, every 5 months, 6 months, I think you have to go out and redefend at least. Like, that's the maximum amount of time you can go between fights if you're defending.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, Streetbeefs, I think it's right around the time where, I saw you drop that guy. I'm like, what the hell is a Streetbeefs? Because I'm more into the MMA scene here in Canada. I train fighters and stuff like that. But just what I love best about Streetbeefs is just like, some dudes don't even have training, and they just go in there and chuck bombs. And then some guys you can tell have had training, but it's just something that's very raw. And I think that appeals to a lot of people. I can just go on YouTube and watch some fights, and then I can imagine myself probably beating that guy maybe. Or I think that's the kind of draw to it. It's like, I have a chance against some of these guys,
I think that's part of it. I also think, I kind of actually literally just said that about Striking Viking, which, funnily enough, I never thought I'd get to do that fight. I'm actually going out there on October 2nd to fight him. But I think that's part of it. That's definitely part of the appeal. And just the fact that it's like this unique backyard, like, it's organized, but it's not, you know what I mean? It's from the perspective of the casual viewer is, okay, it's a homemade cage or a homemade ring, depending on where they're at. and how they can set it up. Like the most of the branches now, I think the 3 main branches have a permanent cage on like one location now. But then like you see Lord Esteban doing the pop-up ones in like North Carolina and Florida where they have to just make the ring with whatever. So I think that's part of the appeal is like, here's this homemade ring or cage or whatever, and random people with weird names fighting each other, and they just look like your average Joe. They're out here in sneakers and blue jeans and wife beater shirts with MMA gloves that they probably got at a thrift shop. That's how I figure most people perceive it, because and that's the draw too, because I know they've done some indoor events when the weather's bad on the East Coast, and those videos seem to not get views. So the outside backyard aspect of it is definitely like the main appeal for people.
So I heard you talk on the podcast with Schwab and Callan, and you were talking about how they try and kind of match you up with someone who's relatively around your like skill set or something like that. Is there ever a time when guys aren't allowed to fight in street beefs? Like, no, you know too much shit, like, or if someone was an ex-pro or something like that?
Well, no, because basically what it comes down to is they try when they pick fighters. Like every branch does things a little differently. The West Coast is very selective because they've had too many people no show. In fact, the original branch had too many people no show, but so they stopped doing pre-matchups. The West Coast tries to do pre-matchups as best as possible, but they're very picky. You have to be active in the group. You have to post videos of your training, or at least send them to the admins. I send my training footage directly to Tiny Tank or Bushido's Ed. I don't let anybody else see it ever. And then you have to hit the sign up post, and then if they pick you, they make the list, they announce everyone who's there. And even with that, we still sometimes get no shows. In fact, the last event, 3 people got permanently banned because no call, no show. Like if you're not going to show and you have a reason, or you let them know, that's fine. So they have time to bring an alternate in. But when you show up or you don't show up and you don't say anything, and it's the day of the event, and now someone doesn't have someone to fight, so maybe somebody else has to fight twice that wasn't really planned for it. But they try to make sure everybody has a fight. So even with the attempted pre-matchup, it depends, who's there, who shows up, who's in your weight class, who's closest to your weight class. And, that's really the main thing, is like weight class, then your experience and your age.
Nice. I was going to ask you, like, just thinking about how would I pull off a street beefs in Canada here, and what I'd have to do, like where would I hold it, and like I'm just thinking, like, there's so many liabilities. Like even in my gym at Coach MMA, there's guys that dislocate elbows and God knows what else, but there must be some injuries here and there, some knockouts, concussions and stuff like that. So do you have to sign a waiver, and then?
Yeah, we have to sign a waiver that does 2 things. We sign a waiver that says that they own the footage, and and then the other half of it is an injury waiver. But I mean, you have to sign that anytime you fight anyway, whether it's in like the sanctioned AMI or like a pro or anything. Even sport tournaments, you have to sign an injury waiver, so it's pretty standard.
Yeah, and then when I know you don't have to give locations of events, but is it like always a secret location, or is it like, hey, we're having?
Yeah, you don't. The main yard, not so much. The scrap yard and the sandbox are kind of that way. Like I know where the sandbox is because I've been there before, like twice. But yeah, you don't find out the location till the night before, especially if you're a new fighter.
Nice. So like I know what it's like, kind of being an ex-fighter or whatever. And now that you've had this newfound fame, do you get a lot of like keyboard warriors trying to call you out and talking shit and stuff like that?
All the time on my YouTube videos, on the Streetbeefs videos, on my social media. My admin for my Facebook, like my Facebook like official page for my me as a fighter, had to ban some dude that just wouldn't stop bugging me about it. And it's like, bruh, no one knows who you are. You aren't in street beefs are trying to get me to go fight in like rough and rowdy, which is boxing. I don't do boxing, you know, blah, 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 blah. And then there's a line. There's a line of guys, and you would be at the back of it, and half of those guys probably aren't going to get to fight me in street beefs either, because I'm not that far off. My weight keeps fluctuating, but I'm staying between like 275 and 280. I'm trying to get down to 265. Yeah. So once I get to like 270, I'm gonna go sign that pro contract, because 5 pounds ain't that much to lose, you know. And that's gonna be the end of me fighting in street beef. So, you know, there's gonna be a lot of guys that don't get to fight me, and then these keyboard warriors don't get that either. And that was this guy's issue, was he was like, oh, I don't want to hear about you going pro, blah blah blah. Let's run it. It's like, dude, you haven't, like, it is what it is. And that's the funny thing too. Like a lot of the keyboard warriors, every single one of them, in fact. And this has happened before even streaming. So I used to get guys coming on my YouTube channel and talking smack on my karate videos from tournaments. And it was the same thing. It's always been the same thing. Almost every time you get somebody talking smack about a fighter on YouTube or on the internet, these guys have no videos of them training, fighting, competing, doing anything at all. And it makes me laugh. So.
Oh yeah, and those are the guys like, okay, let's set it up, and then they wouldn't show it all. They're just fucking.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. You know, and you mentioned making a transition to MMA, and I know you mentioned that on the Fighter and the Kid as well. Yeah, I don't think like you weigh. Dorrell actually weighs roughly the same weight as you right now. He's about 285.
I'm 285.
He's a really high level powerlifter, but yeah, I think you could definitely crush 10 pounds in one day. Like I could help you with that, definitely. If you ever needed to cut weight, I'm kind of a specialist at doing that for people.
All right, for sure. Like I don't like the idea of cutting too much, so I want to be as close to it as I can, so I'm not like dehydrating myself too much or whatever. But yeah, I'll definitely take some tips, man. If you can send me some tips and stuff on that, because
nice.
Yeah.
And you also mentioned that you wanted to fight in Japan one day, because that's kind of like your homage to your martial arts background, right?
Well, that, and I've had a love for Japan since I was a kid, and I would love to fight in like Gon Ryujima or just any promotion in Japan. But I would love to fight for Gon Ryujima specifically. I don't know if you've seen Gon Ryujima, but it's great.
Yeah, definitely. I know that tournament, and I'm not sure if they're doing it anymore. But yeah, I definitely. In my background, like I fought more in like the K1 rules, but there was a tournament at one point that you would have been perfect for. It was called the Megaton tournament, and it was just super big dudes, not necessarily muscular, such as myself, but a lot of the Japanese guys that are heavyweights, they're a little out of shape. But it was an awesome tournament because they'd actually give you a 2-minute break instead of one, and yeah, but maybe I'll pull some strings and see what I can do for you in Japan, and see if we can get you a match out there one day.
Oh man, I would be eternally grateful.
Awesome.
That would be so awesome. That's like the dream. I've always wanted to go to Japan, and to go to Japan and fight in the motherland. Wow.
All right, man. We'll try to set it up.
So how has your training kind of switched ever since becoming the champion and to hopefully pursuing that MMA career? Like, is anything changed in terms of the gym you're training at or the people around you?
Not really. I'm still at the lab. I'm doing, we just got a Muay Thai class in there, so I've been doing that a little more. You know, my karate dojo still isn't up because of COVID, but as soon, I am going to be training with my sensei, like doing one-on-one lessons again pretty soon, because I want to work on my second degree black belt too. But yeah, I mean, I'm doing twice a day, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then Tuesday, Thursday, I do like conditioning, and then Saturday morning I do open mat, and I do extra conditioning after that. And I mean, it hasn't really changed too much. I just started a new kettlebell routine, but other than that, I mean, well, I think what I do to switch things up when I know I've got a fight coming up, I kind of go into more fight camp mode than just general training mode, and I'll do a little more like bag work and ground and pound drills and pad work and stuff. For the most part, I'm doing jiu-jitsu twice a day. and Muay Thai a couple times a week and conditioning a lot. I was actually 330 pounds when I did that first fight, so I've actually lost a lot of weight.
Wow, yeah, that's tremendous. Yeah, I know. I weigh about 320 right now, and it's hard moving that weight around for a long time. But yeah, it's good that you're cutting down, getting closer to that 265 mark. That seems to be where the heavyweight cutoff is. And
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So in terms of like, do you do any strength training at all? Because Darrell and I are big meatheads, and that's about all we do is lift weights.
Yeah, I've never really been too big into like lifting weights for the sake of lifting weights. I mean, I've been doing weight machines and like I said, I just started doing kettlebell training, but usually beyond that, the only thing I ever really did with weights was like doing shadow boxing with like 5 or 10 pound weights, sometimes 3 pound weights in certain boxing classes I was doing for a while. But I try to keep all of my exercises mostly body resistance exercises and just anything combat practical, nothing that's going to build a bunch of bulky muscle to make me slower, because that's kind of one thing I feel like I have it as a heavyweight is a speed advantage from karate training. So I don't want to lose that by bulking up with too much like big muscle.
I hear you. Well, Darrell, you have any more questions for the big man?
Yeah, just what's kind of on the horizon for you? Like, we know you have a fight coming up. Like, after that, everything goes well. What's next for you?
So main thing is I'm still trying to get that last little bit of weight off. Once once I get down, I'm gonna hit up the promoter or the recruiter for Fury FC that already offered me to fight with Fury FC, and let them know I'm finally close enough to weight that I can fight, and try to get that contract signed. After that, hopefully I can get into a bigger org after a couple of fights. I know they're a direct recruiting ground for the UFC. And just long term, I would like to open a gym of my own and just teach full time. It's like my main thing.
Some real goals, man. That's awesome. And then people, they're like, man, this guy's awesome. How can they reach out to you? Just want to
follow your journey.
Maybe shoot you some text or whatever, or on Facebook, Instagram.
So I have a Facebook page. You can look up Shinigami the Reaper. On Instagram, Shinigami_the_Reaper MMA. That's my Instagram. It seems to be where I have the biggest following, even though I post there the least. So that's probably the best way to direct message me. I also have a Twitter, Shinigami the Reaper.
Nice.
Or at the Reaper MMA is my actual Twitter handle. And then my YouTube channel, same thing, Shinigami the Reaper. MMA, and I actually have a second channel that has nothing to do with any of this stuff. If anybody is into ever grew up with like Joe Bob Briggs, like Monster Vision, or like Svengoolie, I have another YouTube channel where I kind of do that with like public domain horror movies as this character called Lord Demonius. Look up that channel, Lord Demonius too. It's not so much to get a hold of me, but if you ever just want to be amused.
Nice. And I also saw that you have some merchandise. If someone wants to grab one of your shirts, or
yeah, I have a store on Teespring, Shinigami's Killer Merch. I have a bunch of different lines of stuff. A lot of stuff with the head kick on it. I've got shirts with my logo on it, which I don't know if you guys can see it, but
oh yeah, nice.
So I've got shirts with my logo on it. Shirts just like I think I got rid of the initial line I started with, some kanji I put off the internet. I've got a shout out Rachel line because that seems to be popular, and then I got a Street Panda line coming. I'm just trying to my design guy's just trying to polish up the design a little bit because he's old school hand drawn stuff, and his digital guy from his company got thrown in the clink. So now he's trying to figure out how to digitize everything. But I got that coming. That seems to be the thing everybody wants most, because Brendan Schaub obviously dubbed me the Street Panda. So yeah, I got that coming too. So that'll all be on Teespring at Shinigami's Killer Merch.
Awesome, man. Well, thanks for taking your time to talk to us, and it's good getting to know you a little more. And best of luck next week on your big match against the Nasty Native.
Yep, thank you. Thank you. He's gonna probably be the biggest challenge I've had yet. I know I had a little bit of a problem with nerd rage when I went up to Scrapyard last month, but that was me being stupid and wanting to hurry up and fight again because I was supposed to rematch Big Smile, and then that fell through. So I hadn't done a Street Beef since March, and I really wanted to fight, and I got invited up to Scrapyard, and I picked the most skilled guy they had 2 weeks after I was off of COVID quarantine with almost no training time. So yeah, he was definitely the most experienced. He's probably one of the most experienced guys, if not the most experienced guy in all Street Beefs. But I definitely think that even with training time, Nasty Native is going to be a bigger challenge because we've had prep time for each other, and it'll be interesting. This is going to really gauge where I'm actually at. So yeah, definitely gonna need the luck on top of all the training I've been putting in. Awesome. And thank you again for having me too. I'm really sorry about the time zone mix-up. That was on me for not getting that clarified out sooner.
No worries. No, we make mistakes all the time with time zones. It's kind of weird, but definitely it was awesome having you on. And best luck in the future. And we'll do the best to get your name out there, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Best of luck.
Take care. All right, everybody, thanks for tuning in and watching that amazing interview. Dorrell?
Yep, learned quite a bit about it. We wish him nothing but the best. Hope he whoops some ass this upcoming weekend. And if you liked the episode, make sure you tell us down in the comments section. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.
Definitely. All those comments, likes, and everything you do for the channel just helps with the algorithm. We're trying to get this podcast blowing up like Shinigami's head kick video. And don't forget to eat big,
train hard,
and always be a fighter.